All right, 9 common lifting tactics that can really wreak havoc on your squat. There's going to be 3 categories here. Category number 1 is going to be equipment. Category number 2 is going to be strategy. And category number 3 is going to be technique. So let's get to it. Let's start with equipment. So thing number 1, don't wear squishy shoes. For starters, wear shoes. Shoes are solid, but wear solid shoes. Specifically, I would recommend lifting shoes. You want to wear something with a real solid base of support so that you have very efficient force transfer between you and the floor. Thing number 2, still in the equipment category here, is a belt. You don't need a belt right away, but in the long run, a belt is going to be a real useful training tool. Moving on quick to category number 2, strategy. So this is tactic number 3 that can really mess up your squat, and that is silly rest periods. When people start, we typically recommend in between your work sets. You can warm up, simply just change the weights, go. But once you get to your work sets, you typically want to rest 3 to 5 minutes when you're getting started. However, if you're still trying to rest, 3 months in, you're trying to rest 3 minutes in between your work sets, you are going to have problems. You're going to be missing reps simply because you're not resting long enough. So there's going to be a small voice in the back of your head that comes around when you finish your first set of 5 that tells you don't touch that bar again for at least 5 or 6 minutes. Listen to that voice. Remember, to get stronger, you've got to complete the reps. And to complete the reps, you've got to rest long enough so you can actually complete the reps. So 3 to 5 minutes is a good starting point, but eventually you're probably going to rest longer. You're going to rest 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes. I'm not telling you to rest 15 minutes or something like that. Sure, there are absolutely practical considerations here, but 3 to 5 minutes to start, and eventually you're probably going to rest a little longer than that. Still in the strategy category, this is number 4, I think, preposterous breathing. Keep the breathing simple. When you're squatting, you're not breathing. So if the bar is moving, you're not breathing. So simply take a big breath at the top of the squat. Hold that breath in your throat. Don't hold it in your mouth. It shouldn't look like this. I'm holding the breath against my lips when I do that. You don't want that. You want to hold it in the back of your throat against a closed glottis. If you're not sure what a glottis is, don't worry. Nobody knows what a glottis is. Just say the word hic and hold the CK sound. You'll be doing it correctly if you can do that, all right? So you're going to hold that breath with tightly contracted abs. You're going to tighten every muscle in your midsection, actually, as if you're going to get punched. And you're going to hold that breath all the way down and all the way back up, and then release your breath. If the bar is moving, you're not breathing. Number 5, not adding weight. In the beginning, it's real simple. Just add weight every time that you come in. So if you're squatting 3 sets of 5, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you can add a little bit of weight every single time. 5 pounds is a very common weight to add as you get, as those jumps get bigger. If you're female, if you're older, as those weights get larger, you're probably going to be making 2.5 pound jumps, but don't complicate it in the beginning. Yes, in the long run, it will become more complicated. It has to become more complicated, but in the beginning, don't do that. Just add a little bit of weight every single time. You can make a lot of progress for several months just doing that. All right, now we're in the technique category. Mistake number 6 is that of trying to stay too vertical on the descent. Remember, we want a straight back. We don't necessarily need a vertical back. It's going to be vertical at the beginning of the squat when you're standing up. It's going to be vertical at the end of the squat when you're standing up again. But it's going to take on a range of angles as you go through the squat. So as you start, simply reach back with your hips, point your chest at the floor. We want a straight back, but it's going to be a relatively horizontal back angle compared to what a lot of people think it should be. And remember, it's still not going to be nearly as horizontal as it is on the deadlift, and you probably deadlift more than you squat anyway. Mistake number 7, if you've got leaned over correctly on the way down, a lot of times people will still mess it up on the way up by trying to raise their chest too soon coming back up out of the hole. In other words, mistake 6 is trying to stay too vertical on the way down. Mistake number 7 is trying to get their back angle vertical right away on the way back up. So simply stay leaned over a little bit longer than you think. You want your hips and your chest, you want your hips and your shoulders, hips and the bar, whatever you want to say, to rise at roughly the same time. So stay in your lean and drive your hips up out of the hole. It will make for a stronger, easier, more efficient, more comfortable, believe it or not, squat. Mistake number 8, and this goes along with 6 and 7, the mistake of looking up when you're squatting. This is kind of an old 80s, 90s, high school football weight room thing. You got to look up to go up. You don't have to look up to go up. It's not really true in anything in life except for rock climbing, maybe climbing ladders. I think then you probably still look at your feet to make sure you don't fall off the ladder. You certainly don't need to look up when you're squatting. Instead, pick a focal point that reinforces what it is that you're trying to do. You're trying to get leaned over and stay leaned over, so just pick a spot on the floor in front of you about 4 to 6 feet and just look at it the entire time. Mistake number 9, that is the mistake of having your knees and your toes pointing straight ahead. So when you're squatting, simply take a stance with your heels roughly shoulder width apart, point your toes out about 30 degrees, and then this is going to help you solve the geometry problem, the problem that is squatting, right? You've got limbs, you've got segments that you need to get out of the way so that you can achieve depth. So the trifecta is butt back, chest down, and knees apart. In other words, your knees are going to travel in the direction that your toes are pointing. Your toes kind of function as arrows for your knees. So instead of your knees going straight ahead, they will go forward, obviously, but they are also going to go out. They're going to go apart from one another, and that makes room for your torso to fit in between your femurs. It makes for a stronger, more efficient, better squat. As always, we hope these tips help you get stronger and live better.